What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. Super excited about this video, guys. If you're new to us and we're new to you, make sure you scroll down, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the post notification bell because we're on the road to 100K. And we cannot get there without you guys, all right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Yes, they eat the same food, look the same, have the same religion, speak kind of the same, and have the same general historical roots. But do not call these people Ethiopians.
It's time to learn geography.
Now! Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbie. Did you know that Italy tried to take over parts of Africa? Yeah, and it didn't last that long, and it didn't end very well. But it happened. But first, Eritrea prides itself on its location. Here's why. Eritrea is located on the Horn of Africa on the east side, bordering the Red Sea to the east, bordered by Sudan, Ethiopia, and Djibouti. In addition to the mainland domain, they also administer the Dahlak archipelago, just off the coast, consisting of 124 small islands, only 2 of which are permanently inhabited, Nora and Dohul, as well as a few of the Hanish Islands that they had a huge dispute over Yemen with, and the South Red Sea Islands in the south. The country is divided up into 6 regions, with the capital and largest city, Asmara, located in the central Mekelle region. The country operates 5 main airports, the largest ones being Asmara, and the former capital when it was under the Italians, Massawa, off the coast. Although Eritrea has the 2nd largest coastline along the Red Sea after Egypt, not many people live there. Other than the cities of Massawa and Assab, most Eritreans live inland, especially in the areas surrounding the capital. This is partially due to the fact that, like some other countries we'll cover in future episodes, Eritrea has a generally dry and inhospitable coast. I mean, the South Red Sea region is kind of classified as one of the hottest areas on the planet. Nonetheless, they take their coastline seriously. When you own land along one of the busiest trading routes on the planet, you tackle that bad boy and tariff it like a boss. I mean, unless your constituents kind of start hating you and then they put up an embargo, but hey, they'll come crawling back. They even set up camp and even have an exclave on the southernmost border with Djibouti on the Dumaira Peninsula because they were like, we want to get as close as we can to the Bab al-Mandab Strait. Home to quite a few archaeological sites like the ones in Kohaito, Matara, and Sanafe with the Aksumite ruins, many of which are yet to be explored, as well as a plethora of centuries-old churches, monasteries, mosques, and mausoleums hidden along the cliffs on the outskirts of towns. The point is, with whatever land that they do have, they work to the best of their ability, as well as a plethora of centuries-old churches, monasteries, mosques, and mausoleums hidden along the cliffs on the out.
That is not hitting. That is very bright. That is very bright. You can see that. Like, you can spot that.
On the cliff.
Unique.
So
right next to the cactus. I mean, that's dope.
I'm seeing this as a trend. It seems like y'all are like nature people. You know, y'all like to have the dwelling places for church to be in nature, in the mountains, the cliffs.
Maybe something they know biblically that we don't.
Outskirts of towns. The point is, with whatever land that they do have, they work to the best of their ability to feed their ever-growing population. Let's explain. Now, yes, as mentioned before, many of the places in Eritrea's coast are generally hot and dry, which, to no surprise, is why the camel is actually the national animal. But that's only one part of the country. Surprisingly, they have quite a contrasting land makeup. Just like we mentioned in the Djibouti episode, the general area that Eritrea is located in is a hot mess when it comes to 3 tectonic plates, the Somali, African, and Arabian. All 3 of these converge into an area known as the Afar Triangle. Basically, the land is tearing itself apart. Eritrea is located right at the fork of the East African Rift, including the Danakil Depression shared with Ethiopia being labeled as the hottest place on Earth. Therefore, the rift creates coastal highlands. The results looks like a backwards rain shadow effect in which the coasts are dry and hot and the inland areas are fertile and green. This is also why the majority...
So this is where we mainly go, towards the inland locations?
That's where I would be.
Locations where it's mostly green, y'all. So
yeah, I don't like hot.
Are we out there like that in the heat and we just know how to, you know, conduct ourselves with that type of weather condition?
Right.
Population lives inland. In addition, this gives Eritrea a few volcanoes, most of which are Holocene and extinct, but then again, Nabra was thought to be extinct until it kind of went buck wild in 2011. Inland, you can find a range of landscapes from subtropical rainforests like the ones at Filfil, or you can find green precipitous cliffs and canyons in the southern highlands. Despite the lush interior, there still is an issue with desertification and drought. The entire population is required by law, starting at age 15, to take a month off and terrace hillsides with rocks to prevent erosion and hold in moisture. 80% of the people people live off of agriculture in which crops like barley, beans, lentils, sorghum, and the interestingly small grain teff is grown. Animals thrive in many parts of the country, especially in the lush interior regions. Over 500 different species of birds can be found, as well as mammals like warthogs, aardvarks, hares, gazelles, and hyraxes. In terms of predators, Eritrea seems to have more canine species than feline. Wild dogs, golden wolves, and jackals and hyenas dominate the highlands and plains. Resource-wise, Eritrea actually has a pretty decent diversified economy. However, two things they thrive off of are livestock and gold, specifically sheep and goats in the livestock. Gold has actually been mined here for centuries and makes up about 15 or so % of the exports. Hold on to your horses though. Even though they have a lot of gold, they still have quite a ways to go in terms of economic development, which gets a little controversial. Let's discuss that in. Okay, so like mentioned before, Eritreans and Ethiopians will admit that they both have incredibly similar cultures, traditions, belief systems, and even language structures. In every reasonable sense, they are kind of like cousins. However, do not call Eritreans Ethiopians. First of all, the country has about 6.5 million people and has doubled its population since the 1990s. The country is made up of 9 distinct ethnic groups, the largest ones being the Tigrinya at 55% and Tigray at 30%, and the remainder come from groups like the Saho, Kunama, Bilen, Rashaida, and others. Eritrea is one of the only 2 countries that uses the only indigenous African writing system in the world that's still used, which, by the way, side note,
an abugida is an alpha-syllabic writing system similar to Arabic and Hebrew that incorporates consonant-vowel clusters into syllable character units. The word abugida even came from 4 letters of the Ge'ez alphabet: A, Bu, Gi, and Da.
So basically, if you want to write something like the word house, it would kind of look something like this. The writing system is used primarily to write Tigrinya, Tigray, and Amharic in Ethiopia. All 3 languages are pretty similar, and if they listen really hard, Eritreans and Ethiopians that speak these languages can kind of understand each other enough to get by. It's kind of like Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese. Now here's the thing, when Eritreans and Ethiopians meet each other, the first question they typically ask is, "Are you Habesha?" And then they ask which country they're from. So what exactly is Habesha?
Yeah.
Habesha people are incredibly unique Semitic mixed African peoples that can only be found in this area. Over millennia, Semitic peoples have mixed in and created this beautiful new group of people found nowhere else, the Habesha. A little bit over half the population adheres to Christianity, predominantly the Coptic Eritrean Orthodox Church, whereas the majority of the remaining population is mostly Sunni Muslim. They also use the Type-C plug outlet, they drive on the right side of the road, and the currency is the nafka. Now, because of the Italian occupation, Eritrea kind of has like a little bit of an Italian twang to it, where some of the buildings and shops have clearly influenced architectural styles. Pizza shops, cafes, and cappuccino and espresso are all over, and many of the residents, especially the older generation in urban areas, can actually still speak and understand Italian. Okay, now this is where the distinctions are really going to start to come out. Let's talk politics. Eritrea kind of gets a bad label from the West because of some of the harsh policies that the government adheres to. Some even have gone so far as to label it as the North Korea of Africa. In the simplest way I can put this, the modern day area of Eritrea was most likely the site of the ancient land of Punt. Fast forward after centuries of other empires and nations taking over until they finally got their independence from Ethiopia in 1993. Guys, I'm on a time constraint. We don't have time for full historical lessons. Just look it up yourselves. Basically, to this day, Isaias Afwerki has been the president since independence in 1993, and the country operates in a strange one-party system that has, how can I put this, rather intense social policies. Everybody, male or female, are required to serve military conscription by the age of 18 and continue with national service. It's
How y'all feel about that? That's a different level of patriotism.
I see that. I see that. I mean,
it's different.
But it does give them the tools to be, like protective and understand self-defense, and
if it works,
it has a benefit. Everything has a benefit if you look at
it.
If you look at it right, you know what I'm saying. But at the same time, it's like,
different.
Estimated that about a third of the country's military in the war against Ethiopia were actually women. Originally, national service was supposed to be for 18 months, but the policy changed, and now it's kind of like an indefinite amount of time until the government deems complete. This has been a huge hotbed of controversy for many of the citizens, since some have ended up serving for years and really have no say in it. This has also caused quite a few Eritreans to leave on a daily basis to avoid the conscription laws. The government defends itself by saying that they strongly emphasize the strength and wealth of a unified nation that works moving forward together. This is also one of the reasons why Eritrea doesn't accept most forms of foreign aid, believing that handouts will enable the citizens into an unhealthy dependency. The government has actually kind of done a relatively good job at prioritizing the national budget towards education and health, though. This has in return helped them reach their goals of essentially eradicating polio and most cases of malaria in the entire country. The problem, though, is that there's almost no economic movement, especially in the private sector, with an average annual income of around $600 a year. So essentially, the people are fairly healthy, but poor. Cycling is a popular sport out here, though, and they actually host one of the most difficult routes in the world, the Asmara Karen Road.
Okay.
A lot of people from all over the world like cycling that road for some reason. Let's talk more about the people who are kind of interact with this country, shall we?
Ethiopia is
of course. Yeah, they're first cousins.
Eritrea is kind of
like Somalia
well,
too.
if we're going to be completely honest, let's just say they kind of isolate themselves a little bit. They've made enemies with pretty much all of their neighbors, you know, with battles and border disputes and wars with all of them, even Yemen. However, recently Sudan has been kind of fixing up things a little bit, but they still have some issues.
If you think about it, earlier he did say they like to depend on other people because they're gonna make the people feel like they are lazy or something like that. Have to be dependent upon them. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I guess.
Means that they kind of have to look outwards for diplomacy. Now, here's the most confusing circumstance. For some reason, they are friendly with both Israel and Iran. The president has gone to Israel for medical treatments and conducts business with them well, but also has visited the president of Iran and has made friendly ties with them. But they are also an observer state of the Arab League. So essentially, they do have some friends, but they just can't be in a room with all their friends at the same time. Some Eritreans might say that on a fiscal level, Qatar and China might be their close friends, but not necessarily their best, since they've invested heavily in their commerce and business. It's complicated. Their best friends are kind of themselves, honestly. In conclusion, yes, Eritrea has some issues, no denying that, but it's also a land overflowing with deep ancient history infused with Semitic African influences, coastal sea lovers, with a few leftover shavings of Italian spice mixed in there. And that's pretty unique, isn't it? Stay tuned. Estonia is coming up next.
I feel like with them being so closed up, even with the information he gave, I still didn't get the information.
What you mean?
Like, I feel like that they're real closed up.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, other than the politics and the realities of how they get things done, there's so much more I feel like that's to be learned about them. Like, he didn't say anything about the greenery.
Right.
About whether...
Or the culture, really.
All the culture, so I feel like there's so much more to learn about y'all.
I wonder how that rubs off on the people, like... Are the people less trusting of other people from other countries? I don't know, because anytime we have done anything about Ethiopia, we have almost always heard that, you know, that they had family from Eritrea, or they moved from Eritrea to Ethiopia.
Married. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
So I wonder, like, what's that culture like? I would love to learn more about the culture.
Yeah, y'all...
The people.
Y'all quiet.
Yeah, let us know, guys. We hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you'd like to support the channel that way, as well as our join feature to become a VIP member of the channel. Send in your reaction request through our subscription box below. We'll see you soon.
Peace.